Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Black Clover, Rampage Asta. Chapter 21. Captain Ready. This time I caught a big fish, and the grimoire in that kid's hand turned out to be 4 leaves. Kerr pointed to Yuno's take-home sermon. Is it the same grimoire as the original Magic Emperor? Ready looked at grimoire in front of Yuno, and there was a greedy look in his 2 mouse-like eyes. This kind of sight made Yuno very uncomfortable, as if he had become a fat sheep to be slaughtered. What a disgusting look. Asta, are you going too? Yuno came behind Hao Fan, ready to go. And the teenagers who went with him subconsciously approached Hao Fan like Hao Fan. Because of the momentum of Hao Fan, even Kerr, who is not exposed, can't match. In this crisis, they instinctively tend to the strong. Your name is Kerr, right? You're right, the moment of surprise has indeed arrived. Hao Fan showed a bright smile. There have been 132 robbers so far. He seems to have smelled the scent of Sharingan. Killing time, it's time. Base. As Hao Fan walked out step by step, the scarlet grimoire appeared out of thin air, and the huge épée slammed down. Hao Fan grabbed the heavy sword in both hands, his muscles bulging like a burst, and the green and blood-red rays of light entwined around his body like dragons and tigers fighting. Ready, the leader of the bandit group, left. Indigenous magic. Giant shield. Ready was taken aback. He originally wanted to ridicule Hao Fan for what age did he still use a sword. But when he saw Hao Fan's breath like a blue beast, his body trembled involuntarily, and all the hairs on his body exploded. This was a kind of fear from the depths of his soul, so he unfolded his own the strongest magic shield. Bang Kai. I saw the soil rushing out of the 4 towering earth walls, wrapping Ready and Kerr in them. These 4 earth walls are extremely strong and can resist many powerful magic attacks and physical attacks. They are Ready's last life-saving means. But 1 second later, 2 seconds later, the earth wall didn't move at all. Is it a paper tiger? Ready touched the sweat on his head, and the momentum just now really startled him, but he didn't expect the sword to hit the earth release, and there was not even a sound. But the next moment, the screams came like a tsunami. Help! Help! He's devil. Ready and Kerr looked at each other after hearing the screams. Could it be that the members of the group have already started killing? After all, his group members are all thugs with bad deeds, and they really like to torture before killing people, so it is not surprising that those teenagers make such a miserable cry, but it seems that this sound is not something that teenagers can make. Ah. Captain, why don't we open a slit and let's take a look? Kerr suggested. It is good. Ready changed his magical form. When the 4 windows were opened, his eyes instantly straightened, because it was his team member who called for help. Help, Captain. Who will save us? Number 1. The second one. The 32nd. Hao Fan is like a whirlwind, with a speed that is difficult to detect with the naked eye. Every time he comes to a robber, he will send it up to the sky with the huge sword in his hand, and the weak will die immediately. Although it didn't die the moment it was drawn, it would also fall to its death after landing. The 52nd. The left side is all cleaned up, the next one is the right side. Hao Fan stopped, and his figure appeared in front of everyone again, but at this time the ground he was on was as empty as the locusts crossing the border, while the sky was full of robbers screaming. Gudong. The boys and girls participating in the Magic Nights were all swallowing their saliva. This scene was simply too amazing. The robber who licked blood with a knife in his skirt didn't even have the ability to resist under Hao Fan's heavy sword. Boom. Bang bang bang. As the robber who was knocked up first fell, the robbers who were knocked back fell to the ground like dumplings, and died of anger. Ding dong. You killed the red-named 3rd level lower level wizard and got 100 points as a reward. Ding dong. You killed the 2nd class lower level wizard with the red name and got 200 points as a reward. Ding dong. You killed the 1st class lower level wizard with the red name and got 300 points reward. ... Ding dong. This time, you killed a total of 43rd level lower level mages and received 4,000 points reward, killed 10 2nd level lower level wizards, obtained 2,000 points reward, and killed 2 3rd level lower level wizards. Mage, get 600 points reward, a total of 6,600 points reward. Hao Fan heard the final conclusion. His heartbeat suddenly accelerated, and he got more than 6,000 points just by eliminating a few trash fishes. Sure enough, hunting powerful wizards was a correct choice. Hao Fan looked at the robber on the right, and his eyes instantly heated up. These are all points for walking. Look, devil is staring at us. Fight him. Wood creation magic millions of wooden arrows. Fire creation magic fire dragon roar. Water magic big water column. Wind magic, rapid wind blade. The members of the Raptors bandit group on the right were all panicked at this moment. They just saw with their own eyes that Hao Fan killed the members on the left in less than 5 seconds. You must know that there are several first-class lower-level magic guides there. Sergeant, this is the mainstay of the regiment, but he doesn't even have the ability to resist. Therefore, these people are still in shock and can't control any magical attributes. They threw their strongest magic at Hao Fan, and in an instant, the magic of the sky, the fire magic like a fire dragon, there are also ice magics similar to ice dragons, wind blades, wooden arrows, water columns, and various colorful magic sweeping towards Hao Fan with the atmosphere that seems to destroy the world. For a time, everyone only felt that the heaven and earth were about to be engulfed by this wave of magic attacks. Many teenagers who took part in the Magic Knight's exam fell to the ground, fearing that under the magic of the heaven and earth, even Yuno, who had always been calm, I was a little shocked at the moment. That kid will surely die. Kerr trembled and preached, otherwise he would not die under this kind of attack, I was afraid that he would die. This is the fat sheep you picked for Lao Su. This TM is a devil. Reddy slapped Kerr's face, and Kerr's front teeth collapsed in two immediately. Half of his face was swollen, but he still felt uneasy, and slammed Kerr again. This is just a one-pot meal. Hao Fan raised the sword of destruction, just taking this opportunity to test the effect of the sword's rebound magic. Go back to me. Hao Fan held a sword with one hand, and his legs suddenly exerted force. Chakra frantically condensed onto his leg muscles. After 2 steps, he stepped on the ground with his right foot and jumped up. Zzz. In midair, Hao Fan used the sword of severing demons to slash dozens of magics that converged in one place. The impact of many magics was even greater than that of the waterfall falling from a height of 100 meters. Hao Fan wanted to. The force used to bounce these magics back is equivalent to using a sword to push the water back from under a Beizong waterfall. It is conceivable how much power is required. 8 inner gates cumin. When Hao Fan was at a stalemate with the impact generated by many magics, he immediately opened the second gate of the 8 inner gates array, and his whole body strength increased sharply. The impact force generated by many magics is as if nothing is seen in the air. Wherever you came from, give it to Lao Su to go back to. Hao Fan roared angrily. At this moment, his silver hair was flying, and the green and red lights were intertwined. He looked like a demon, and all the magic that gathered in one place was slapped back by him like a baseball in an instant. Bang, 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 bang. I saw countless wooden arrows, wind blades, and ice swords returning to their original places at an unstoppable speed. Those magicians who released these magics didn't even have time to react, and they were all buried in their own magic. Ding dong. You killed the red-named third-level lower-level wizard and got 100 points as a reward. Ding dong. You killed the second-class lower-level wizard with the red name and got 200 points as a reward. Ding dong. You killed the first-class lower-level wizard with the red name and got 300 points reward. ... Ding dong. This time, you killed a total of 53rd level lower-level mages and received 5,000 bonus points, killed 22nd level lower-level wizards, earned 4,000 bonus points, and killed 8 third-level lower-level mages. Mage, get 2,400 points reward, a total of 11,400 points reward. More than 11,000 points. It's so cool. Hao Fan excitedly listened to the system prompts, and at this moment he only felt his whole body was boiling with blood. After finding the right method, it was really easy to get points. Now I just killed a band of robbers with ease, and the points are almost reaching 20,000. Is this a god? The boys and girls who were almost sacrificed looked at this scene, and they were all dazed. Hao Fan, who landed in midair, was obviously the same size as them, but in front of this ferocious band of robbers, they were so frightened that their hands and feet became weak, and Hao Fan was as big as them. But one person killed a band of robbers. No, the leader of the bandit group has not been destroyed. Indigenous magic, giant shield. Indigenous magic, giant shield. After watching Hao Fan kill his team members, Reddy was like a frightened quail. He kept using up all his magic power to release his life-saving skills. 7 or 8 meters later, but Reddy still has no sense of security. He was terrified, afraid of this boy who looks like a devil. Asterisk. Captain, help. After witnessing the whole process, Kerr also didn't get much better. At this time, he collapsed to the ground with weak hands and feet, and he didn't even have the courage to cast magic, just like the boys and girls outside who just found themselves surrounded by bandits. I'll save your grandma's leg. Reddy stepped on Kerr's head. He gritted his teeth and exerted all his strength, only to hear a puff, and he actually stepped on Kerr alive. It's time to end. Hao Fan looked at the tortoiseshell-like earth wall, raised the demon-breaking sword and jumped up. Under the action of the demon-breaking sword, the solid earth wall was ineffective. Wherever the ape went, the earthen wall crumbled immediately, finally revealing Reddy's terrified fat face. No! Reddy let out a shrill scream, but the demon-breaking sword in Hao Fan's hand didn't mean to stop at all. Boom! The sword of severing demons smashed hard on Reddy, and the Raptor's bandit group was completely destroyed. Ding dong! You killed the red-named mid-level wizard and got 500 points. Not bad. Hao Fan is very satisfied with this final sword, so he got a total of 18,500 points for destroying the Raptor's bandit this time, plus his original 500 points, a total of 19,000 points. This is really a wave of fat. Is it all resolved? And it's still a complete beheading. God, I'm really lucky to meet such a powerful companion. Thinking about it now makes me panic. If we hadn't met him, we would have been sacrificed by that robber by now, right? The boys and girls in one skirt cried with joy. For them, this was a real escape from the tiger's mouth. Asta, when did you become so strong? Yuno looked at Hao Fan incredulously. It seemed to outsiders that Asta had been chasing his footsteps, but in fact only he knew that he had been chasing Asta's footsteps. He envied Asta's strength, so he became stronger too. Once upon a time, he thought he was strong enough, and even thought he had surpassed Asta for a while, but now he realizes that he is still looking up Asta. Thank you very much, you rescued us. My name is Lisa and I live in Landline Village. If you pass by here in the future, I will give you my best hospitality. Lisa, the most beautiful of the 3 girls, came to Hao Fan gratefully and confidently. Oh, are you going home? Hao Fan asked Gujing without wave. He could detect Lisa's intentional or unintentional ingratiating, and the girl in front of him was indeed beautiful, but she was a little more mundane, and she seemed to be very good at drilling camps, so she was not liked by people. It's just not long after I left Landline Village, I encountered such a danger, and the road to the capital is still long. I really can't imagine what kind of danger I will encounter in the future, so I plan to go home. Lisa didn't expect to join the Magic Knights when she went to the capital, but just wanted to add icing on the cake to her life, so that she could become a very sought-after courtship object when she returned to the village and added her beauty in the future. But if she went to the capital, if the road is too dangerous, she will never insist. Lisa. The other 2 girls' eyes dimmed when they heard Lisa's decision. As girls, even if they formed a gang, it would be too difficult to travel all the way to the capital, so they also decided to give up. As a result, many teenagers immediately expressed their decision to give up going to the capital. After seeing the horror of the Raptor's bandit group and the power of Hao Fan, they felt that this world is not as simple as they thought, and being selected as a genius in a grimoire tower does not mean anything, which gives them a sense of being from the clouds. The feeling of falling to the dirt. Sure enough, compared to the outside world, a quiet village is more suitable for me. I originally wanted to go to the capital to increase my knowledge, but the price of this knowledge gain is too high, and I can't afford it. The boys and girls in one skirt quickly said goodbye one after another, and Hao Fan and Yuno had already left the place. Even the teenagers who originally wanted to follow Hao Fan saw this, but in the end they had no choice but to go home, because they really didn't have the courage to stay here. Hit the road. Open the store. Hao Fan walked as he walked. Hitamitsu. Single Tomo Sharingan 10,000 points. D-rank Ninjutsu. Shadow Shuriken 50 points. Binding 50 points. Bunshin no Jutsu 50 points. Henge no Jutsu 50 points. Items. Kikatsugen 10 points for 1 point. Kunai 10 points for 1 point. Healing Potion 1 point for 1 bottle. All Ninjutsu. Redeem all. Hao Fan's mouth twitched. His domineering and unparalleled preaching, 19,000 points, is so self-willed. Ding dong. Successful exchange of Tomo Sharingan, spending 10,000 points. Single Tomo Sharingan. Normal effect. Slow down the enemy's attack speed, and gain improved insight. Special effect. 30% chance to cast Genjutsu, 30% chance to copy the opponent's magic. Finally redeemed for you. Hao Fan's pupils began to change, and the front of his field of vision was blood red. Then, the beautiful amber iris, like red dye infiltrated in clear water, gradually turned into a coquettish dark red. There was an extra circle of black lines around the black pupils. The black line is surrounded by a little ink like Tomo, and the Tomo Sharingan has opened his eyes. At this time, Hao Fan looked at the surrounding scene as if he had installed a magnifying glass. The texture of the trees in the distance, the hairy limbs of the spider, and every vibration of the butterfly could be seen clearly, but after watching it for a long time afterwards, there is a burning, tingling sensation in the eyes. Close your eyes, Hao Fan hurriedly preached. When he opened his eyes again, the dark red iris changed back to a beautiful amber platinum color again. This is the power of the system. Even the innate pupil technique can be retracted freely. Ding dong. Successfully redeemed D-rank ninjutsu Shadow Shuriken, spend 50 points. Shadow Shuriken no Jutsu. Normal effect. Inject your own power into the blade, hit the enemy's shadow, block the enemy's movement for 0.5 seconds, and can only use it up to 3 times a day. Special effect. None. Shish. Hao Fan shot at a branch at will, and the sharp kunai nailed it tightly to the branch and issued a duo. With a bang, a sparrow was startled, but one of the sparrows with the most plump wings paused for a moment like an electric shock, and then flew out suddenly. Very powerful. Hao Fan's heart couldn't help beating faster. Shadow Shuriken is an extremely difficult ninjutsu in the world of Hokage. You must know that in this cruel world where time is racing against time, even a pause of 0.1 seconds is fatal. This is not to mention that people in this world despise taijutsu in the first place, so they are slow in action, and now they pause for 0.5 seconds. Hao Fan really has the capital to kill powerful enemies in seconds. Ding dong. Successfully redeemed D-rank ninjutsu Bunshin no Jutsu, spend 50 points. Normal effect. Can produce a clone to confuse the enemy. Special effect. None. So tasteless. Hao Fan said to look at one first, but D-rank Bunshin no Jutsu, as the lowest Bunshin no Jutsu, seems to have no effect other than showing off, so he was relieved. Ding dong. Successfully exchanged for D-rank ninjutsu Henge no Jutsu, spending 50 points. Normal effect. It can change anything you see, lasting for half an hour, and it will dissipate when subjected to strong magical fluctuations. Special effect. None. It's okay. Hao Fan arrogantly gave a 2-word evaluation, and then withdrew from the Hokage Mall. This consumption is 10,200 points, and the remaining 8,800 points. It seems that too many points is also a trouble. Hao Fan raised his eyebrows. This kind of money is really fragrant, but he has already exchanged the Hokage Mall, so the mall will be updated in time, right? Ding dong. It is detected that the host has purchased all the goods in the mall. It takes 50,000 points to upgrade the mall. Do you want to upgrade? Quote. Hao Fan moved his throat, expressing that he did not want to talk to the system, and spit a thick phlegm at the system. The next journey, although not to say that it will be smooth sailing, it is obviously not so easy to meet a big fish like the Raptors bandit group, so until the two came to Hao Fan, the capital of the four-leaf clover kingdom, it was only a matter of the points have accumulated to 15,000, which is simply inferior to killing the Raptors robbers. This is the capital of the four-leaf clover. It really looks like a big cake. Hao Fan glanced around, and then walked into the royal city with Yuno. Just the prosperity at the bottom made the two feel overwhelmed. After asking about the location and time of the Magic Knight's exam, the two of them looked for I stayed in a medium-sized hotel, so don't worry about the money, because the money stolen from the robbers along the way is enough for the two of them to squander in the capital for a while. 3 days later, the hustle and bustle of the capital suddenly quieted down, and then beautiful fireworks bloomed from the sky, followed by the cheers of the mountains and tsunamis bursting out of a building that looked like a coliseum. This is the exam of the Magic Knights. The time has come. Hao Fan and Yuno came to the test site, and the entrance was full of skirts who came to cheer and cheer. These were locals from the capital, and some parents who came to escort their children. They were very enthusiastic. Come on, boys. The future of four-leaf clover is all in your hands. I really hope you can come out with a famous person this time, then I can go back and brag in the future. I have watched this legendary exam today. Various voices broke out from time to time in the skirt. How Fan looked around, and indeed it is indeed the capital of the king, and there are really many beautiful ladies and sisters dressed in fashion. Move, preached in dissatisfaction. Come on, don't get too emotional. How Fan rolled his eyes and walked into the test site. Everyone took a simple identity test first, mainly taking out the grimoire to have a look, and then they could enter the test room. After passing the identity test, How Fan and walked into a huge circular arch, and behind the arch was a very large open space. On the aisle above the open space were 9 thrones, which corresponded to the 9 magic knights, group leader. At this time, the leaders of the 9 magic knights had not yet arrived, so many boys and girls who came to take the test began to talk to each other, and soon divided into 2 completely different groups. One was gorgeously dressed, a noble group, and a group of ordinary civilians. So cute, these little birds. When almost all the candidates came in, a skirt with blue wings, like a bird with an explosive head, landed, and immediately attracted the attention of many simple girls. These birds, I really like me, and they all fly towards me. This can't help but remind me of the white doves representing peace in the square. How Fan opened his arms with a look of enjoyment on his face. Sure enough, even a creature like a bird can't resist this charm. Presumably he must be very popular now, right? After all, girls are very obsessed with this kind of boy who can't even get close to animals. PFF'd, look at that man, he's so funny, surrounded by so many demon birds, he doesn't feel ashamed at all, on the contrary, he looks like he's enjoying himself. It's no wonder, he looks like a country bumpkin who just arrived in the city, and it's not surprising that he doesn't know the magic bird, but the grimoire tower in these small places is too much, and he will send a man with such a low magic power. It really makes this young master feel a kind of humiliation. 2 aristocratic teenagers with lower stature and 18 blocks worse in appearance than How Fan, seized the opportunity and began to sneer, and with the popularity of the caring people, the name and function of this little bird were known to everyone. Hate, don't come near me. I'm being chased by too many evasive birds, which may make the head of the magic knights look down on me. Almost everyone is conditioned to drive away the magic bird around them, because whoever is entangled by the magic bird the most means who is the most incompetent. Even the little girls who thought this kind of bird was cute at first began to avoid it. Stand up. Ah, the black line on How Fan's face, his already cold face became even colder at this time. If you dare to approach Lao Su again, I will kill you. Twitter. As if they could understand people's words, the demon birds scattered immediately under How Fan's terrifying aura, and soon took How Fan as the starting point, let alone birds within a radius of 10 meters, even individuals dared not near. What a terrifying aura. The 2 aristocratic teenagers who had planned to further ridicule How Fan saw that the momentum was not right and got into the skirt of the human being. After all, it is human instinct to seek profit and avoid harm, even the extraordinary nobles cannot avoid it. Look at the black-haired boy, there is no magic bird around him either. One pointed to and preached. Could he also scare away the demon bird? How is it possible? Didn't you see so many people around him? It's really powerful magic. Even those nobles have more or less 1 or 2 around, but he doesn't even have 1 around. It's really a powerful existence. I heard that he also has the same 4-leaf clover grimoire as the original magic emperor. Humph. Occasionally, there will be a large one among the bed bugs, but the bloodline is always difficult to change. Yuno's existence undoubtedly attracted the attention of the audience. Whether it was jealousy or contempt, all of them converged on him and How Fan was completely ignored. Che, a clumsy mortal. How Fan rolled his eyes, put away his aura, raised his head arrogantly with his arms folded over his chest, and this scene fell into the eyes of a man in a white vest who looked like the old king next door who was farming. The breath of a strong man. The cigarette in Yami's mouth is half burnt. He didn't intend to come for such a boring exam. After all, it's the same as not coming, but now he seems to have seen a very interesting boy. After paying attention to How Fan, Yami continued to walk towards the 2nd floor of the examination room. At this time, the heads of the 9 magic knights had already taken their seats. It's really weird, and there are all kinds of leaders. Hao Fan watched the leader of the Magic Knights on the second floor and complained. There was the leader of the Silver-Winged Eagle who had his hair trimmed like an eagle, the leader of the Red Lotus Lion King who looked normal, and the leader of the Lion King who looked like a normal eagle. Magic Revchi is also like the head of the Emerald Mantis, a descendant of Orochimaru, and there is a blue rose head made of iron with a fierce hood, which is quite beautiful. Next is a purple cape with a face like the face of an American Superman, the leader of the Aster Killer Whale, and then the leader of a coral peacock who even sleeps while walking. Well, when I don't know what else to do, did you fall asleep too? Hao Fan is full of interest in this lowly-looking coral peacock leader, and really wants to rush up and try it. Next is a kid, the leader of Aqua Magic Deer. Hao Fan would never go to such a kid's regiment, because it's too embarrassing. After the little ghost, he is a man dressed like an old Indian turtledove. No matter what his strength is, this appearance is definitely more colorful than the male birds who are courting. It is said that it is the strongest magic knights of the moment, the Golden Dawn. Head. In the end, there is a man who looks like a rough man who is very farming. This is the leader of the Black Bull. It is said that he is more famous than the Golden Dawn, and is affectionately called the Rogue Knights by everyone. These regimental leaders are really bells and whistles. Hao Fan finally gave a pertinent evaluation. What he knew was the head of the Magic Knights, but what he didn't know was that whoever dressed the most weird and who was the most awesome masquerade party. The leaders of these Magic Knights are all equal to 100. How about it? Were you stunned after seeing their heroic appearance? A yellow-haired boy in a wine-red suit walked up to Hao Fan arrogantly. Because he was far away from Hao Fan, he just missed the scene where Hao Fan was scared away from the magic bird. Hao Fan, who avoids the entanglement of demon birds. My name is Sai-Kai. For such a big scene, the first thing to do is to relax. Sai-Kai's eyes are proud of his brows. You must know that you are in the company of the weak, which can bring out your strength. Sometimes you need not only strength, but also brains to stand out from people's skirts. So from the moment he came in, he chose the weak according to the magic bird, and it was only when he came to Hao Fan that his eyes lit up. What kind of poor magic power was this to attract so many magic birds? Isn't this the ultimate weakling he was looking for? Where do you see I'm nervous? Hao Fan raised his eyebrows. Sai-Kai seems to be choking on a sweet potato. Hao Fan can't say a word for a long time. At the same time, all the boys and girls around who had seen Hao Fan's aura began to point in a low voice, and their eyes were full of schadenfreude when they looked at Sai-Kai. This fool, he has nothing to do to provoke this evil spirit, I really don't know how he will die. There's a good show to watch later. What's the matter? Why are those people looking at me like this? Sai-Kai sensed something was wrong, and subconsciously looked at his clothes. There was nothing wrong. Why did everyone look at the two fools? All candidates, I will preside over this exam. Next, you will take several exams, which will then be reviewed by the leaders of our 9 Magic Knights. If you are valued by us, then you will be honored. If you are a member of the Magic Knights, if you are valued by several leaders at the same time, then you will have the right to choose to join one of the knights. Of course, if you are not selected, you are not eligible to join the Magic Knights. The head of Golden Dawn stood up to preside over the overall situation. Although he was wearing a mask, from the sound, he was also a very young and powerful wizard. Hao Fan's eyes glowed with fiery brilliance. At this time, the 9 men on the second floor seat were all worth a fortune. Of course, their strength is absolutely unmatched. Hao Fan can sense that each of them contains huge magic power. If they become enemies, they will definitely be enemies that can make people's blood boil. But it's not easy to join the Magic Knights. Hao Fan frowned slightly. Although he had awakened the 5-leaf clover grimoire, he still had no magic power in his body. If there was a project to test his magic power, if he couldn't finish it, wouldn't he be on the street? While Hao Fan was thinking to himself, the head of the Golden Dawn spread out his grimoire, and a splendid green light burst out from the page, and then the color of the sky changed, and the entire exam venue was covered by dark clouds coming from all directions. The magic tree is coming. Following the murmur of the head of the Golden Dawn, a dazzling light erupted in the deepest part of the dark clouds, and then a tree that covered the sky fell from the sky. When the tree fell, a strong whirlwind blew in the examination room. This magnificent scene made many candidates scream, because this kind of magic that can change the celestial phenomenon is too shocking for beginners like them. Strong magic. How Fan's clothes fluttered in the wind, but he was like a pine and cypress without a trace of bending. His eyes were distant and deep, and even if it was the first time he saw this level of magic, he didn't show too much surprise. Although the mages in this world are powerful, they ignore taijutsu's practice too much, so even some very powerful mages are as weak as babies, and they are prone to the risk of being assassinated by the enemy. This is the biggest drawback of the pure magic system. Of course, the world has not yet developed taijutsu that can threaten magicians, so this drawback has not been noticed by anyone so far, which has resulted in no magician developing magic specifically for powerful warriors. There is no doubt that the prominent Hao Fan is even stronger. Even if he is only Genin's strength now, he can still be tough with taijutsu and the sword of severing demons even against the leaders of these magic knights who are at the top of the world. With the magic of the head of Golden Dawn, seemingly messy but orderly branches flew out from the big tree. When each branch came to the candidate's side, it automatically created a gray-yellow broom at the top. The first test, start. I ask you to fly on this broom. The head of Golden Dawn raised his mouth and said that these brooms were made by him, which ensured the fairness of the exam to a large extent and prevented some candidates from carrying brooms with cheating functions. Is it so difficult to begin with? Gosh, I just got the grimoire okay. I really don't know if it will fall. As soon as the Golden Dawn commander finished speaking, several candidates changed their faces. Although flying around on a broom is the most basic magician skill, for beginners like them, they have never touched it. Realm. This test is about your control over magic power. Mage who can freely manipulate magic power can do it by feeling, so don't panic. After the Golden Dawn team leader finished speaking, many candidates were eager to try it out. After all, even the man closest to the Magic Emperor said so, what else do they have to be afraid of? Ah, a young man with a ponytail trembled and rode the broom off the ground, but then an unsteady center of gravity almost fell, so frightened that he hurriedly hugged the broom like a monkey and didn't dare to move. At the same time, the heads of the 9 magic knights also began to watch the scene. After all, the aptitude of a person can be seen from the steady flight of these candidates with their brooms. Is this what it feels like to do whatever you want? Yuno is talented and intelligent. When most people were still holding the broom and didn't dare to fly, he could stand proudly on the broom and fly freely. This scene naturally fell into the eyes of the 9 heads of the magic knights. Is this the boy selected by the 4-leaf clover? It's amazing. The heads of the 9 major magic knights gave this evaluation almost at the same time. Yuno was the focus of their attention this time, and he was a rare good seedling. Sure enough, it was aimed at Lao Su from the beginning. Hao Fan was holding a broom, with a dark face, a feeling of letting a sow go up a tree. It turns out that flying is so easy, just relax. When Sai Kai floated on Hao Fan's head, he seemed to be enthusiastically sharing his flying tricks, such as using this kind of skill to gain favorability. He does things. Crap. Hao Fan folded his arms, his expression became more and more unhappy, and now the whole field of candidates has been flying one after another, which makes him very unique. Well, it is unique, not alternative. Ha. Flying is the most simple thing, a magician can't even fly, it's too unreasonable. As expected of a beast from a remote area, so what if there is a savage aura? After all, you want to look up to me and wait. The 2 aristocratic teenagers who had ridiculed Hao Fan before, were now riding a broom beside Hao Fan like a juggler. Lang, isn't it? Shall ye let you know what despair is? Hao Fan raised his head, with a harmonious smile on his face. Can you guys fly higher? Aha, easy. The 2 aristocratic teenagers raised their brooms as if they had heard a joke. Before, they were worried about falling, so they didn't dare to fly too high, but this time, they were provoked by Hao Fan. Very well, then tremble in despair. Hao Fan smirked and took out 3 kunais. As for why there were 3 kunais, the extra one was naturally prepared for Sai Kai, who was also roaming around. Shadow Shuriken no Jutsu. Hao Fan flicked his wrist, and 3 kunai shot the shadows of the 2 noble boys and Sai Kai without distinction. The 3 of them felt their bodies stiffen at the same time. Although it only lasted 0.5 seconds, it was enough to cut off the connection between their magic power and the broom. Then the three of them screamed and fell from the broom. Mom, save me. At this moment, the two aristocratic teenagers were about to cry. What kind of sin was that just now? They flew so high, and now they will definitely die when they fall. What happened? Isekai was the most unlucky. Originally, Hao Fan didn't bother to pay attention to him, but since he was ready to take action, he took care of him and solved it together. Suddenly landed from the broom. It seems that the control of magic power is not enough. The staff in the dark place cast magic to save the three of them when they were about to fall to the ground. It is not uncommon for candidates who are unstable in manipulating magic to fall down every year. However, although the three of them were rescued, their faces were all white with fright, and one of the two noble youths had wet his pants, so he withdrew from the exam in shame on the spot. Hoo hoo ha, I was really scared to death just now. Isekai was still in shock. He only felt that his legs were weak at the moment. He had to know that his life, which had not yet started to become brilliant, almost came to an end. Do you still dare to show? Hao Fan said coldly from the side. No, no. Isekai was startled by the sudden sound and almost fell to the ground. There are quite a few good seedlings this year, but what happened to that silver-haired boy? No matter how bad his aptitude is, he can always float slightly while riding a broom. What does it mean to stand still? The head of the Red Lotus Lion King watched Hao Fan's puzzling sermon. I feel like I can't do it, so I gave up from the beginning. The head of the Emerald Mantis said calmly, it's common for people who don't even dare to fight like this, isn't it? He seems to be from Haji village, but I didn't expect the gap to be so obvious. The leader of Xian Killer Whale gave a speech. Humph, were you eliminated in the first round? I had that kind of aura just now, I thought he was something amazing. He can't even fly at the most basic level. If I were him, I would have run out of shame long ago, and even dared to stand there with a shy face. The teenagers around Hao Fan all showed mean faces at this time. Maybe it was because they showed the most humble smile when Hao Fan showed his momentum, so they did their best to ridicule when they saw that Hao Fan was about to be eliminated, as if doing so would bring back the face that he had feared of Hao Fan in the first place. What you little fool say is really irritating. Does it really make you so proud to be flying around in the sky like watching monkeys? Hao Fan raised his face slightly. His platinum-colored eyes were filled with an indescribable aura, which was a noble aura that came from his soul. His body was originally very tall and straight, but now standing proudly on the spot, it seemed like an eternity. The gods are generally extraordinary. These words instantly made many people feel ashamed of themselves. The boy who was proud to show his talent for manipulating magic power, his face turned red, but now he was pointed out by Hao Fan, and he felt that his behavior just now was really like a monkey competing for favor in front of his master. Many candidates they have already landed without knowing it, and it seems that they feel ashamed to fly for a moment. This kid, it's obviously the one who is embarrassed, so why is it that those who can fly are the ones who are embarrassing? The head of the Golden Dawn gave a speech that could not laugh or cry. Why did a word that stood out suddenly popped up in my mind? Moreover, why is this kind of noble aura stronger than that of the royal family? The head of the silver-winged vulture said speechlessly. Haha, this is really a funny kid. The head of the black bull showed great interest in his eyes. This kind of eccentric person is just in line with your black bullies group style, no wonder you like it. The head of the emerald mantis teased. Cut, bugs. The leader of the black bulls pouted, and the group leaders were bickering on the stage, and the boy in the skirt under the stage was bickering with Hao Fan again. What qualifications do you have to call us monkeys, you trash who was eliminated in the first round? A teenager preached angrily after landing. Just because of your IQ, you were flattered by saying you were a monkey. Who said I would be eliminated? Hao Fan raised his eyebrows and sneered. Isn't this something obvious? You haven't even passed the first exam, so you will be eliminated naturally. The boy's head was a little confused by Hao Fan's rhetorical question. Did he understand it wrong? Think about what the leader of Golden Dawn said just now. He said that we will take several tests, and then these leaders will judge the people who are suitable for their knights based on our performance in these games, which means that this is not about you. Just like playing a game, as long as you don't pass a level, you will be eliminated, but it will be combined, otherwise some people may not be able to manipulate their magic power prominently, but they have deep magic power or special magic, so wouldn't they bury their talents? Hao Fan sneered. Does it make sense? The teenagers who used to think that as long as they did not pass an exam would be eliminated, suddenly realized that this is what happened in this exam. It's very rational, but after all, it can't cover up the inferior and the low aptitude for manipulating magic. The head of the silver-winged eagle said lightly, this sentence is also equivalent to closing the door of the silver-winged eagle to Hao Fan. No matter how good Hao Fan is in other aspects, it will not change. It's better not to make a decision so early. Isn't the boy who inherited the four-leaf clover grimoire also a lower class? The leader of Xian Killer Whale gave a speech. How can these two be compared? That four-leaf clover's grimoire is enough to change that boy's fate. After the head of the silver-winged vulture finished speaking, his sharp eyes seemed to have found something, and he politely said his apology and then walked down. After the head of the silver-winged eagle walked down, he went directly to a remote corridor. Behind the stone pillar in the corridor was a cute girl with silver-white hair. Her hair color was the same as that of the head of the silver-winged eagle. One color, even the eyes are a touch of pink, which is very cute. Finally found. Hao Fan was a little excited. He finally discovered the most beautiful girl in the examination room. She had been hiding behind the stone pillar. If the head of the silver-winged eagle suddenly came down, he would not have been able to find it, but the silver-winged eagle group Chong didn't know what to say to the girl, and soon the girl withdrew from the examination room. This makes Hao Fan somewhat regretful. After all, the best match for the young Shenny and angry horses are all kinds of immortal-looking young ladies and sisters. Okay, now for the second round, magic test. There are no fancy rules for this level, just use your strongest magic to hit the wall in front of you. After the announcement of the Golden Dawn leader, each teenager immediately rushed out of a wall, and then Hao Fan continued to close his eyes and fold his chest. Although he had a certain amount of chakra, he had the ability to hit walls from the air. He hasn't yet. Second round, magic manipulation test. A piece of paper with a bullseye drawn on it is enough to see how high you are. After the head of the Golden Dawn finished speaking, Hao Fan continued to fold his arms with a dark face. He was considering whether to use his powerful lung capacity to blow the paper into the air like everyone else. In the end, think about pulling it down. He still doesn't move. Does he want to give up? Sure enough, the remarks just now were bluffing. The teenagers around were whispering, and the group leaders in the corridor on the second floor were also looking at Hao Fan occasionally when they were selecting seedlings. After all, the one who was most in the limelight in this exam was probably not the one who had the four-leaf clover grimoire. You know, who performed exceptionally well in exams, is Hao Fan, who has been holding his chest with both hands since he entered the arena. The third game, the creation magic test. Hao Fan's face darkened even more, his grandmother's still has no end. The fourth game, the evolutionary magic test. Hao Fan's neck has burst with blue veins, and the head of the black bull, who has been closely watching Hao Fan, feels that the muscles in his face have stiffened. What about the strong breath? Could it be that he just stood there until the end of the exam? I had some expectations at first, but now it seems that it is indeed a clamor for favor. The head of the emerald mantis smiled. I really want to give him a countdown to his life. The head of the black bull gave a dissatisfied preaching with a cigarette in his mouth. Now for the final exam, the actual battle. After the Golden Dawn leader finished speaking, the leader of the Red Lotus Lion King couldn't wait to stand up. What in the world is cooler than magic flying in the sky? Let's fight. The two of you are divided into groups, until one side is defeated or surrendered. The head of the Red Lotus Lion King gave a passionate speech. He was looking forward to a battle that would surprise them all in this exam. In addition, our staff who know how to restore magic are also on call at any time, and everyone can give it a go. With the addition of the Golden Dawn leader, the prelude to the battle begins. All the boys and girls have opened their own abacus at this time, because the opponent in this battle turned out to be their own choice, not by lottery or assignment, so this is a test of strength and eyesight. After all, if you find it as too powerful, the opponent has become a foil. My God, who should I call? Most of the candidates have panicked, because they are strangers to each other, and no one knows the details of the other. Now many candidates have regretted it. If they had known that there would be this exam, they should have gone all out to take the exam, while looking at the magic of others. However, they still have some impressions of the people who performed too prominently, such as and some nobles with powerful magic, as long as they avoid these people. Many candidates have already started to distinguish those who must not be provoked and those who can try. Ha, these idiots, do you know that you are in a hurry now? Saikai is now as proud as a general who has won a battle. Now he really wants to tell his strategy, and then accept the worship of everyone. From the beginning, he looked for the weak based on the number of evading birds, and finally found the audience. Hao Fan, who is surrounded by the most magic birds, although Hao Fan is very mysterious, but through the follow-up examination, he can almost conclude that Hao Fan has no magic power. Is there a second one like this? Saikai walked to Hao Fan's side, put his hand on Hao Fan's shoulder, and then said charitably, "You must be worried because you can't find an opponent. Then let me do it." Hao Fan glanced at Saikai, who said, "I don't want to go to hell, who will go to hell," and patted his clothes with a look of disgust. "Go away. You bronze level White Lotus, if you don't want to join the Magic Knights, don't drag me." "You call me a White Lotus?" Saikai's eyes widened, and he said incredulously, "I've always been kind enough to help you." "Oh, I thank you. From the beginning to now, your shoehorn has sneered no less than 35 times, and then you told me that you are kindly helping me." Hao Fan sneered, "However, I don't mind if you want to end your trashy life early." "Dare you say I'm trash? Humph, you're trash like bottom line goods, your life is as humble as a mouse." Saikai was furious. Bronze is really bronze, and it will be exposed when it is excited. Hao Fan snorted coldly, saying that he was too low on the means, and there was no pleasure in tearing it up. I'll make you pay for it." There is a look of resentment in Saikai's eyes. He really wants to use the bronze curse magic and the poisonous lizard to teach Hao Fan a lesson. Life is not as simple as it seems on the surface. There are some people you are destined to not offend. This kind of look, it's enough to count down your life, but now is not the time to do it. Let you live a little longer. Hao Fan's amber eyes instantly changed to blood red, and Tomo Sharingan stared straight at Saikai, which made Saikai instantly shiver. He swears, this is the most terrifying look he has ever seen. You. Saikai swallowed 2 mouthfuls of saliva, and finally ran away from Hao Fan without even daring to say anything cruel. He now finally understands why those people looked at him with gloating eyes in the first place. Where is the bottom of the pile? This is simply a devil living in the abyss. After driving out Saikai, Hao Fan also began to look for a suitable battle object. If nothing else, this battle will be his last chance to be selected into the Magic Knights, so he must look for a very strong opponent, so as to set off himself. It is so powerful that he has the chance to be selected by the head of the Magic Knights. But now there is an embarrassing problem in front of Hao Fan, that is, he invites those powerful opponents, and the other party may not agree. After all, his previous exam performance was not so bad. Except for Saikai, there is no one. Will self-destruction choose a bottom to set off yourself, because this is to prove that you have the second to last strength. So, his opponent can only be Hao Fan's eyes turned to his eyes had returned to amber again, and just looked at him, and the eyes of the two faced each other in the air. My opponent, as expected, is only Asta. The two walked towards each other almost at the same time, but was stopped at this time by a blonde boy with a 3-point resemblance to Orochimaru. Your name is I heard that you have been included in the list of absolutely not to be provoked. You should be very distressed that you can't find an opponent. Then let me be your opponent. Shalom scratched his head, looking helpless, as if he could not find a tiger who dominates the mountains and forests as an opponent, and could only use a local dog to stand out. Step aside, preached indifferently. What did you say? Do you think I'm unworthy? Shalom gritted his teeth instantly. As a nobleman, he had already condescended to challenge the lower class like a beast, but he didn't expect to be rejected. Whatever you think, but if you compare with that, you really don't deserve it. Didn't talk to Shalom after he finished speaking, and this scene caused 1,000 waves in an instant. Even the noble son of the Harps's family refused. My God, how strong is the opponent he is looking for? Everyone who paid close attention to was surprised. You must know that Shalom is also on the list that is absolutely not to be provoked, and he is also an aristocrat with strong magic power. He is definitely among the best among the candidates this time, but such a strong opponent it was ignored, and according to Yuno's tone, that opponent was stronger than Shalom. Now everyone is eager to know who the opponent Yuno found. I saw Yuno walking towards the center of the skirt step by step. Wherever he went, the candidates involuntarily gave way to a path, and at the end of the path, there was also a silver-haired boy. It's him. Everyone looked at Hao Fan in shock. Yuno's opponent turned out to be Hao Fan, who performed the worst in various exams. I saw that the two of them walked to the center of the examination room under the comments of the audience, like comets intertwined. Let's have a showdown, Yuno. Let it be a showdown, Asta. After the two stood still, they both showed a strong fighting spirit, which made everyone look forward to it. It's really an exciting battle without a fight. The head of the Red Lotus Lion King in the corridor on the second floor has already clenched his fists with enthusiasm. From the current point of view, this is the strongest versus the weakest. Chapter 31. What matters in this game is not the result, but the process. I think you understand it, right? So try to play as grandly as possible. Hao Fan watched Yuno preach. Is it grander? No problem. Yuno's calm eyes finally showed a fiery light. Maybe to outsiders, what he found was an uncompromising bottom line, but in fact, only he knew what a formidable opponent he found. That is a powerful existence that can destroy the bandit group of neighboring countries by itself, and even a mid-level magician is a formidable opponent like a lamb in his eyes. So he will definitely go all out. And as the only competitor in this life, Yuno is analyzing Hao Fan's weaknesses every day. For example, Hao Fan's speed is the fastest he has ever seen in his life, so he must keep his distance in battle. The best way is to fly into the sky at the moment of the game, and then use long-range magic to consume, but that epee from the first battle of the Raptor's bandit, it can be seen that it has the ability to reflect magic, so the magic used cannot be small, it must be a huge magic that cannot be reflected. Only in this way can it work. The first group of fighters, come forward. A sorceress in a green robe walked to the scene to preach. Originally, many candidates wanted to be the first group to compete, because this is the first stop of the opening, everyone is still in a state of 100 times the spirit, and can maximize the attention of the leader of the Magic Knights, but now there is Hao Fan with the two comets Yuno, no one will be the first to spoil the fun. Game start. The green-robed magician waited for Hao Fan and Yuno to stand still, then put down his raised right hand. At this moment, everyone's heart clenched. Shish. Hao Fan jumped out of the spot like a bolt of lightning. Chakra's crazy savings at this time in the muscles of his legs, let him run up and even bring a green glow. This terrifying speed, is it some kind of high-speed magic? The head of the Golden Dawn was taken aback, this kind of speed is rare among mages. No, it's just pure physical fitness. The leader of the Black Bull Knight watched Hao Fan start, and preached on the broken bluestone floor, this is the power of the real muscles. Hao Fan's side was as fast as lightning, while Yuno's side jumped onto the broom and rose into the air as soon as the green-robed magician said it started. Although his speed was slow compared to Hao Fan, he did not hesitate, so when Hao Fan summoned the Sword of Destruction and slashed where Yuno used to be, Yuno had already flew off the ground and kept pulling up. The distance did not stop until the height of 10 meters. Asta, on the way back to the capital, I didn't practice in vain. Yuno preached with a bit of pride. After all, if he were another wizard who didn't know Hao Fan's power, he would have already hit the street at this moment. Very good, then next, the big move is up to you. Hao Fan took back the Sword of Breaking Demons, and the place where the blade hit, suddenly cracked, like a dozen ferocious earthworms, spreading rapidly in all directions. With the power of a sword, it smashed half of the examination room. Honey, are you trying to destroy the exam room? Candidates are terrified to avoid the cracks that spread, such a heavy blow, even a giant elephant will be smashed into flesh. The corners of Yuno's eyes twitched, did this make a small movement? Haha, Saikai was stunned to see this scene, the sweat dripping from his forehead was like rain, and now he finally understood how he was on the verge of death before. Such a sword, his proud the bronze protective magic ball that can wrap the whole body like a barrier into magic cannot stop it at all. Such a speed, coupled with such a giant sword, is really interesting. There was an interesting look in the eyes of the head of the Black Bull. Today, the exam of the Magic Knights was finally over, and he saw a boy who forced back a magician recognized by the four-leaf clover grimoire without using magic power. Wind Magic Tempest Tower. Yuno stood in the air and murmured. As soon as his voice fell, a tornado that rose from the ground quickly formed. The tornado became bigger and bigger, and after rolling up the broken stones on the ground, the tornado killed and injured people. The power is getting bigger and bigger. What a powerful magic. The candidates were all taken aback and started to go backwards. Originally, they already had this kind of magic that could change the sky and only those members of the powerful Magic Knights could perform, but they did not expect that someone who was a candidate like them would actually perform it, although the celestial phenomena that can be changed are limited, but such magic is also not something they can compete with. However, just when everyone was still terrified by the power of this magic, in another direction of the examination room, another tornado of the same size suddenly sprang up. There's actually one more. This time, under the superposition of the power of the two storm towers, the power of heaven and earth is even more powerful, but just before everyone's hearts were put down, another powerful tornado rose from the ground. Want to have a grand fight? So, is the 5-hit combo of wind magic and the Tower of Tempest large enough? Yuno looked down from the sky. His black eyes were full of fighting spirit, and now he has gone all out. As early as when Hao Fan dealt with the raptors, he knew that ordinary magic would not work against Hao Fan, and he had to use super magic to crush it, so this time he made a move. With a full blow, you will either defeat Hao Fan or give up if your magic power runs out. Shish, shish, shish. In an instant, 5 tornadoes roaring like the wind god swept towards Hao Fan. At this moment, the entire examination room was blown away by these 5 winds. From time to time, loose stones were thrown into the tornado. Some corridors the railings were even rolled in, and the candidates were so frightened that they hid in the corridor on the first floor. Unforgivable. When Shalom hid in the corridor in a panic, he did not forget to look at Hao Fan and Yuno resentfully. He remembered that these 2 inferiors who swept away his noble dignity, he will definitely take revenge. Good magic. The head of the Red Lotus Lion King's eyes lit up. He didn't expect to see such a wonderful magic at the beginning of the game. As expected of the boy chosen by the 4-leaf clover grimoire, such magic is rare even among the royal family. The head of the silver-winged eagle couldn't help but sighed. This outstanding celestial posture is enough to make up for his status as a low-class person, allowing him to be admitted exceptionally. But the most important thing is not the magic power, but the manipulative power of this wonderful little pinnacle. You must know that many wizards have powerful magic power, but they cannot fully control their own magic power, and he can not only cast such a large-scale magic, it can still maintain the phenomenon of out of control. The Golden Dawn leader also has a heart of love for talents. It can be said that even if Yuno loses this game, just relying on these 5 wind magics is enough to join Golden Dawn. Besides, will such a powerful Yuno lose? Don't you just notice the 4-leaf clover boy? Did you not notice the silver-haired boy? The 2 of them are in the same village and know each other's abilities best. The 4-leaf clover boy fled from the beginning, and to display the strongest attack, does this mean something? The head of the black bull spit out a smoke ring and spoke calmly. You mean, the head of the emerald mantis thought thoughtfully. This silver-haired boy has the same magic power as the 4-leaf clover boy, or is it a stronger magic power? Otherwise, it's 5 wind magic, how much does he have to hate his partner? The head of the black storm bull asked back, and then stared at Hao Fan, who was standing proudly in the center of the storm. He really wanted to know how this young man would solve this crisis. I've really grown up, and I already know how to analyze my weaknesses. Hao Fan stood on the spot and let the surrounding wind blow. He stood as freely as Mount Tai, but the red light of the great sword in his hand continued to rise, and his eyes had turned blood red like the sunset. At this time, his field of vision was full of Storm's flaws of the tower. Open, Cumin. As Hao Fan murmured, the majestic chakra surged up from his feet like a volcanic eruption. At this moment, Hao Fan's silver-white hair stood upright, and his platinum amber eyes also changed into blood-colored red eyes, which makes him look like a devil. Call. Soon, like a real 5 tornadoes, it engulfed Hao Fan. Rub. This is the sound of the demon breaking sword piercing the air at high speed. Hao Fan's figure is as fast as a ghost when his feet suddenly exert force, and the huge demon-breaking sword carries all the power after open black lens bracket cumin close black lens bracket. Zzzz. The sword of broken demon collided with the Tower of Tempest, making a harsh and shocking sound. Bang! After the 5 storm towers stalemate with the sword of breaking the devil for a few breaths of time, under the action of the sword of breaking the devil finally overwhelmed and made a cracking sound, and soon the gust of wind raging between the heavens and the earth disappeared invisible. Win the fight. The candidates hiding in the corridor were stunned. They originally thought that there was some kind of deep hatred between Hao Fan and Yuno, so Yuno killed him as soon as he came up, but no one thought that these 5 wind magic could kill any candidate present. In the hands of Hao Fan, who was at the bottom of the previous exams, he didn't even hold on for 5 seconds. Sure enough, I still lost. Yuno landed from the sky with a wry smile. The 5 towers of the storm had consumed his magic power, and he was no longer able to keep flying, so, he lost. This sword actually has the effect of eliminating magic power. What the hell is going on with this silver-haired boy? Judging from the test just now, there is no one worse than him in the audience, but how can his combat effectiveness be so terrifying? At this moment, the leaders of the 9 magic knights were also shocked. They really never thought that there is still someone who can overshadow Yuno, who was selected by the 4-leaf clover grimoire. This year's newcomers are really surprising. The head of the Red Lotus Lion King sighed. But that silver-haired boy doesn't seem to have used any magic in the first place. As long as all the exams about magic are thrown into the street, doesn't he have any magic power? The head of Ziwan Killer Whale guessed. As a magician without magic still called a magician. Taijutsu's potential is limited after all, and such a young man is now a little stronger. When the magic power of these candidates has grown in the future, they can easily defeat him. After the leader of the Emerald Mantis finished speaking, everyone fell silent. The reason why the Magic Knights is called the Magic Knights is because everyone is sorcerers. Judging from Hao Fan's performance just now, although he is powerful in combat, he has never used magic once from the beginning to the end. There is no Magic Knight group who dares to ask for such a young boy who can't figure out the details. Ha ha, the head of the Black Bull had a smile on his face. The other Magic Knights didn't dare to ask for it, but he dared. Originally, he was worried about how to get this powerful taijutsu into his bag, but now it seems that no one is robbing him. That should be fine. Hao Fan took back his sword and looked at the exam room that seemed to be demolished. It was like this. I believe that joining the Magic Knights should be fine. Look at his eyes turning red, so handsome. This time he will definitely be robbed. After all, he has defeated the most promising 4-leaf clover teenager. Even if the first few tests are all 0 points, he will definitely be admitted by exception. I didn't expect him to be so powerful. Those who have ridiculed Hao Fan before bowed their heads in shame, and really realized what a bronze king of mockery is. Such ignorance is really embarrassing. But what are we going to do next? Originally I thought I was a genius, but now I really have no face compared to them. At this time, many candidates thought so in their hearts, so it took a long time for the second group of candidates to compete before 2 nobles entered. Their magic is usually enough to amaze everyone, but now there are Hao Fan and Yuno the Pearls are in front, it seems that they are even a little funny. Most of the games that followed were mediocre, and only a few nobles fought dazzling battles. Due to the large number of candidates, this exam was not completed until the sun was about to go down. Previously, many candidates were already drowsy, but when the last group of candidates finished the comparison, everyone raised their spirits, because the moment of fate has finally arrived. God, please be sure to choose me. I don't want to go back to the backcountry again, thinking about that kind of dark life, it's better to die. A young man from the countryside prayed devoutly. After realizing the prosperity of the outside world, he was not willing to go home to farm. Humph, the world is in chaos because of these restless bugs. A noble boy arrogantly held up his hands. Originally, his eyes were full of disdain for the inferior, but then he lowered his head because Hao Fan happened to be passing by. How powerful I am as a noble, it turns out that there are times when I am afraid. That's right, how dare you say this to others? A few youngsters from the countryside felt a sigh of relief when they saw this scene. This is the advantage of being strong. Just passing by is enough to scare away those bulls, ghosts and snakes. Are you inexplicably being swayed by a fox and a tiger? Hao Fan walked away in disbelief, and there is still more to boil, because he is number 165, and there are more than 100 candidates waiting to be selected. The exams are all over now. Now we will start the final selection. Next, the candidates will be called forward in order. If you are selected by one or several group leaders, then these group leaders will raise their hands. If they don't raise their hands, it means that you are not qualified to join the Magic Knights, so please leave the examination room quickly. The leader of Emerald Briar Rose, who had been silent until now, stood up and gave a speech, and after her brief introduction, the candidates probably understood the final selection rules. Start now. The staff in the examination room began to call the candidates' numbers one by one. Each time a candidate was called, they would be given 3 seconds to think about it. This could be said to be the 3 seconds that determine the fate of their life. Therefore, every candidate became nervous, and even psychologically. Candidates who are weak, have already fought 2 battles, must be chosen. The examinee whose number is 1 is already so nervous that he will be the first to be numbered. No matter whether the ending is cruel or beautiful, there is no buffer time. Category number 1, move forward. Yes, candidate number 1 moved forward tremblingly. He looked at the 9 leaders of the Magic Knights in the corridor on the 2nd floor with respect. There was a regiment leader who valued him, but after 3 seconds, no regiment leader raised his hand. This cruel reality made him collapse directly to the ground, and the staff helped him down later. It's so cruel. Some low-born candidates saw this scene and were saddened, because joining the Magic Knights through the examination of the Magic Knights is the only place where they can change their fate, but this road is obviously a road of no return. Although the avenue is facing the sky, it will be difficult to accomplish without the spirit of being alone despite the thousands of people. Hao Fan indifferently looked at the various attitudes of the candidates around him. The more things in this world seem to have low thresholds, the harder it will be for you to reach the highest level. Whether it is Kai, Rock Lee, or deep learning of taijutsu in the Hokage world. Naruto who hides in Kyubi, which one of them is not suffering from the cold and warmth of the world. When the road is retrograde, he burns his youth and blood, and finally achieves an achievement that no one else dares to imagine. All in all, it is a sentence: if you want to get what you shouldn't get, you have to put in the effort you shouldn't give. If you fail, don't ask anything else, just ask yourself if your efforts are thorough enough and crazy enough. The final selection for joining the group was carried out very quickly, because each candidate only had 3 seconds, whether it was happiness or sadness, they competed in these 3 seconds. Soon, the staff at the scene called Yuno's number. Category 164, move forward. Following the call of the staff, Yuno, who has always been calm, could not help but hold the pendant on his chest. Human beings are afraid of being invisible, and he also has the fear of knowing an unknown about his future. Finally, the team selected by the 4-leaf clover grimoire has arrived. Apart from losing to the silver-haired boy in the end, all his test scores are among the best. Such a person will definitely be selected by a certain regiment leader. The candidates walked out with Yuno and arrived at a small high court, because Yuno was undoubtedly the most outstanding among all the candidates present. Intentional leader, please raise your hand. After the on-site personnel finished speaking, whether it was the sleepy leader of the Coral Peacock, the leader of the Black Bulbul known as the Road Leader, or the leader of the Emerald Mantis who looked like the grandson of Orochimaru, or only recruited nobles and royals. The Silver-Winged Eagle and the Golden Dawn Head, the 9 heads in the corridor on the 2nd floor raised their hands without hesitation. It turned out that everyone raised their hands. This scene that shocked the audience did not happen until this moment. The best performing aristocratic boy was only selected by the 3 leaders of the Magic Knights, but Yuno, who was born as an inferior, was defeated by all the Magic Knights. The head of the mad robbery. Even the Golden Dawn and the Silver-Winged Eagle raised their hands. Oh my god, he really jumped over the Dragon Gate all at once. I'm so envious. The envy eyes of the candidates in the back are about to fall. This person is more mad than others. There are many candidates who leave the examination room with hatred. They are also 10,000 willing, but the reality is so cruel as winter. Next candidates choose. As the staff's voice fell, Yuno, after being surprised at the beginning, had already made up his mind. I choose Golden Dawn. Yuno firmly preached that he would become a magic emperor. The head of the Golden Dawn raised his lips. He was not surprised by this result. The other heads were somewhat regretful, because the gap between the group started with outstanding talents. What an astonishing degree of growth the Boy of Leaf Clover grimoire will grow. Category 165, Move Forward. After Yuno withdrew, the scene finally ushered in the biggest high court. One failed to pass the exams, but he won the most valued candidates with a demon-like attitude. Hao Fan is undoubtedly the most attractive at this moment. Attention exists. Where will he choose? Yuno couldn't help but guess when he passed by Hao Fan again. This Haji village is really lucky. How come two perverted teenagers came out all of a sudden? He must be all hands up, right? The candidates were a little uneasy for a moment, because two geniuses who were favored by the whole staff would appear at once, which seemed to them very unbearable, but there were also teenagers who felt fortunate because this class was destined to be a legend. Hao Fan walked in front of everyone calmly, his back was straight and firm, without the slightest panic. Is he not nervous at all? If you win the most promising seed, don't panic. The candidates were chatting, but only Hao Fan knew the real reason. My life is mine. These simple 4 words are the life creed that Hao Fan believes in. Whether it is Rock Lee or Asta, they also have this kind of thing in their bones. When a teenager faces the doubts of people around him, the ridicule of his peers, when the betrayal of relatives and friends is still unswervingly moving forward, the shackles of fate will no longer exist, and the whole world will tremble for his struggle. So don't say it's a test of a magic night order. No matter how difficult it is, Hao Fan will not be nervous, because he is full of confidence in his future. Intentional leader, please raise your hand. As the staff's voice fell, all the candidates held their breaths. They couldn't wait to know the fate of this devil-like boy. Is he praised by all the staff or will there be side effects? Thoughts flashed in the eyes of Captain Golden Dawn and Captain Silver Winged Eagle, but they never had the intention to raise their hands. Asta is undoubtedly very powerful, but just like Captain Emerald Mantis said, taijutsu's growth is limited after all. They believe that Yuno, who has powerful magic, will become a peerless powerhouse in the future, but they obviously don't have such confidence in Asta. Time passed quickly, but the head of the Red Lotus Lion King who likes to fight did not raise his hand. The head of the Coral Peacock who likes to sleep is still dozing. The head of the Green Wild Rose with the Iron Hood flashes a meaningful look in the eyes. Look, but also did not raise his hand. Didn't the head of the regiment see him? A candidate could not believe the sermon. You must know that Yuno, who was the loser, raised his hands without hesitation as soon as he appeared, while Asta, the winner, was collectively snubbed. By the way, I remembered, the silver-haired boy doesn't seem to know magic at all. He has never shown any ability related to magic from beginning to end, no wonder no knight leader dares to ask for it. Ha ha ha, this guy must have done something wrong and offended the gods. Otherwise, why would there be no magic power? Seeing that such a powerful person has lost the election, now my heart is balanced. I originally wanted to strengthen it, but now it seems that it is obviously unnecessary. Not joining the Magic Knights is equivalent to cutting off the room for improvement. Such people will be surpassed by me in a short time. The voices of laughter around him kept coming into Asta's ears. These people are really mean forces. It was obvious that someone was using him just a moment ago. Now that he is useless, they are ridiculing and sneering to their heart's content. This result is not surprising. After all, I have long been used to it, but when can I become the object of ridicule of these garbage? Asta turned his head and looked at these teenagers with a pair of sharp eyes like knives. There is no embarrassment on Gujing Wubo's face after losing the election, because the strong are self-improving. This does not need any fancy forces to set off. The purpose of his joining the Magic Knights is just because he can be lazy and does not need to collect all kinds of information by himself. Everything has ready-made tasks waiting for him to do, so it doesn't matter whether he joins or not. But he had to let these mean people know that from the moment they started looking up to him, he was destined to only look at his back like a god for the rest of his life. However, at this moment, the head of the Black Bull raised his hand high. Look, the head of Black Bull has raised his hand. Aha, although he didn't lose the election, the one who raised his hand was the worst Magic Knights. The silver-haired boy really did too much wrongdoing in his previous life, so he was punished. Although the leader of the Magic Knight raised his hand at the last second, Asta was still ridiculed by everyone because this ending was too inconsistent with his performance. Cut, if you don't raise your hand sooner, I will be embarrassed. Asta rolled his eyes at the head of the Black Bull, who looked like a rural uncle, and then walked towards the group of people who laughed at him the most fierce. Do you think your growth ability is terrifying? Maybe, you have a little prejudice against taijutsu, so that you can't tell the difference. After Asta finished speaking, opened the door and Cumin opened continuously, Zakla springs rushing out from the body, and the tragic green arrogance that broke out of the body was arrogantly displayed in front of every teenager. At this time, Asta turned back and saw wearing the head of the Black Bull. He said, "Head, you accidentally destroyed this exam venue, isn't it illegal?" "What do you mean by being careless?" The crowd was sweating profusely. "Stinky boy, don't destroy public property." The head of Black Bull's head suddenly turned red. What he hated most in his life was the destruction of public property, so much so that he slapped the second-floor corridor where the 9 headmen were located in an angry slap. "What the hell are you doing, Yami?" Several heads of the group panicked and cast magic to stabilize the second floor, otherwise it would be a shame to fall. "It seems that you are setting an example, so I'm welcome." A smile twitched at the corner of Asta's mouth, and then the sword fell heavily into the sky. The huge sword energy was like a tsunami. This was a full blow from his calf, waist, arm and wrist. Boom! A cyclone that was stronger than Yuno's 5-path magic was blowing in the entire examination room. The rapid impact blew the entire examination room into pieces. The teenagers who mocked Asta earlier were all overturned, and the whole cyclone continued. For 5 full seconds, the eyes of everyone present were different when they looked at Asta. "You really accidentally ruined the exam room." Golden Dawn and Silver-Winged Eagle suddenly had a feeling of pity. Just as the leader of the Emerald Mantis said, taijutsu's growth power is limited after all, but now aside from other things, even if many members of the Magic Knights strike with all their strength, and can't unleash such a mighty blow. "I really regret it now." The Red Lotus Lion King sighed, thinking that magic is the coolest thing in this world, but now it seems that taijutsu is also not weak. "I didn't expect that this level of strength could be achieved by the strength of the body alone." The head of the Emerald Mantis felt that his thin face was aching at this time. This was the result of being slapped in the face. "I really found a baby." A fiery light flashed in the eyes of the head of the Black Bull, who said that without magic power, he could not become a powerful magic knight. Such taijutsu and the great sword that blocks magic are enough to make Asta unique. The other head of the regiment looked at this sword in shock, which was enough to threaten them. This is a sword that even they have to pay attention to. And it is such a strong person who is rejected by them because of their limited ability to grow up. "Do you think you can surpass me by joining the Magic Knights? Now I ask you, how long will it take you to surpass the power I'm showing now?" Asta coldly asked the teenagers who fell to the ground, "How can the dignity of the strong be something that the weak can try to provoke?" "You are devil." A noble boy pointed at Asta tremblingly. Even if he was in his 30s or 40s, he would not be able to surpass him. "How is it possible? How can he still have such a powerful attack?" Shalom was leaning against the wall in disbelief. As we all know, due to magical power, everyone can't escape the law of weakening combat effectiveness with the passage of battle time, but Asta has already gone through a huge battle just now, but in the blink of an eye to be able to display more powerful combat power than before, how much power was hidden just now? Is this Asta's all-out strike? My defense with all my strength can only keep standing in this residual power. Yuno released the wind magic guarding him with a wry smile. He was one of the few teenagers who could still stand, but at this moment, he finally realized the gap between himself and Asta. At this time, whether standing or being overturned, everyone who ridiculed Asta bowed their heads in fear. They once again tasted the taste of bronze contempt for the king. This is really a feeling that people can't wait to get into the hole. Fortunately, I didn't play tricks with the bronze curse. Saikai was curled up in the corner of a ruin. He could not wait to slap himself in the face, and even thought that such a peerless powerhouse would be a stepping stone that he could step on. "When did I promise to let you destroy the exam room?" Yami was furious, and a terrifying black light spread from his whole body. This coercion made everyone's heart sink. Dark magic. It's not easy to be the leader of the Magic Knights. Asta took back the sword of severing demons and said helplessly, "Didn't you just slap down the corridor on the second floor?" "I thought it was hinting at me. And it was accidentally destroyed, so you can't blame me. Just now I saw the blue veins on your ruthless neck burst out. You told me that you were not careful. Kid, if you hadn't become my team member, believe it or not, the countdown to your life has already begun. Yami raised his brows. He didn't expect that when he released his aura, Asta would still be able to reply calmly. This courage alone is enough to make people look at him differently. If you don't get kicked out of the team for hitting the leader, I think I'll beat you up. Asta raised his eyes as if he had eaten Yami to death. The guy in front of him looked fierce, but he was actually a knife-mouthed guy with a tofu heart. What? This guy is crazy. He actually said he wanted to beat the night captain. Many candidates who were scared and shivered by Yami's momentum, their eyes almost popped out when they heard Asta's words, "This is a deadly handsome. Do you want to fight?" A terrified expression appeared on Yami's face, like a Hades. If you don't mind fighting a child, I don't mind fighting you either. Asta held his head in his hands as if he was talking to the old king next door, as casual and casual. Grandmas. Interesting. But, do you know what kind of magic knights you joined? The corner of Yami's mouth evoked a strange smile. He seemed to have seen Asta's expression after knowing that he had entered the worst magic knight order in history. Oh, I heard it just now, isn't it the worst magic knight in history? It seems that everyone should get along very well, unlike the Golden Dawn and the Silver-Winged Eagle, which are so strict that people don't feel like home when they think about it. Asta had an expression he knew for a long time. In fact, even if Golden Dawn raised his hand with the Silver-Winged Eagle, he might not join, because he didn't want to be with a person whose nostrils were turned upside down. Aren't you worried about your future at all? But I like what you said later, Golden Dawn and Silver-Winged Eagle are really cold and homeless. Yami burst into laughter after saying this, and it became more and more pleasing to the eyes of Asta. After listening to this, both the Golden Dawn and the Silver-Winged Eagles had the expressions on their faces that they had eaten flies. Gun. Sure enough, it's the head of the strange flower who accepts the wonderful team members. Several other Magic Knight leaders couldn't help but complain when they saw this scene. Welcome to join our big black bull family. Yami patted Asta's shoulder with satisfaction, and when it came to the Black Bulls, he deliberately used the big family instead of the Magic Knights, because he wanted to express that the Black Bulls were known as the worst knights in history, but the members are the most united of all the knights. Next, Yami returned to his seat, and the on-site staff simply cleaned up the examination room and resumed the examination again. After all the candidates have completed the assessment, those selected teenagers will return to their knights with each leader. At this time, Asta came to Saikai's side. Ha. What do you want to do? Saikai looked at Asta nervously. He didn't think Asta was here to chat with him. It's natural to end something. Asta's indifferent preaching. What? At first I wanted to use you to express myself, but didn't I succeed in the end? Saikai hurriedly preached. If that's the case, I'll let you go, but at the end you showed killing intent, so do you think I'll let you go? Asta sneered. Saikai immediately thought that he once wanted to persecute Asta through the curse of bronze, but he didn't think that his idea could be seen by Asta. Are you a devil? Even if I had this idea, but I didn't implement it. Maybe you don't understand the world very well. Killing thoughts can only be solved by killing. There has never been an exception. After Asta finished speaking, he left Saikai, and when Saikai thought that Asta was just talking big words to scare him, a small sawdust with chakra quietly penetrated into his power artery, and it didn't take long for the sawdust. It will block his blood vessels and kill him without leaving any trace. Ha, you are just a coward. Now there are so many magic knights, I see if you dare to do it. But, killing thoughts can only be solved by killing. I remember this sentence. You will definitely regret it. Saikai looked at Asta resentfully, and then walked towards the leader of the Emerald Mantis. Although he really didn't want to join this Magic Knight order, he didn't have the right to choose, but he would definitely work hard to improve his bronze curse magic. Surprise Asta when we meet again. Saikai, come here. A member of Emerald Mantis urged Saikai, which made Saikai speed up, but for some reason, he suddenly felt dark in front of him, and the whole person was as light as walking on catkins. The sound became smaller and smaller, and finally fell to the ground like the setting sun. Did you die? It seems to be a young man named Saikai. What a pity. Just after being selected by the Magic Knights, he died because he was extremely excited and blocked his blood vessels. The candidates sighed and looked at the place where Saikai fell. It was really hard to imagine that death was so close to them. A young boy as young as them passed away like a whirlwind of candles, which is inevitably embarrassing. Death in the examination room has not happened for a long time, but dying here is better than being a nameless skeleton on the battlefield. Yami calmly exhaled a smoke ring. He has been on the battlefield. After seeing life and death, he will inevitably become numb to certain things. He also knows that as a member of the Magic Knights, in addition to enjoying the glory, it is more important to carry the consciousness to die for the people at any time. Therefore, a person who does not look down on life and death will never become a competent Magic Knight, which is why some people are cleared out of the Magic Knight every year. Asta. Yuno came to Asta before leaving with the people from Golden Dawn. In addition to his fighting spirit, there was a trace of tension and reluctance in his eyes. This was the first time they had separated since they were born. Oh, let's go, Yuno. Asta patted Yuno on the shoulder, and then left a handsome back. Although he didn't say any words of comfort, Yuno's eyes gradually became firmer. Asta, let's fight together towards the Magic Emperor. At this moment, Yuno is no longer afraid of the fear of the unknown, and walks firmly towards the Golden Dawn, where there is his future. Little devil, when you get to the regiment, you will know what a horrific treatment is. Yami spoke coldly. Hee, no one has told me ghost stories since I was 3 years old, because smart people know they can't scare me, and only the mentally retarded will continue to think about scare me. Asta rolled his eyes. Since he came to the team, Yami has been terrifying him, and he really treats him like a child. Are you saying I'm retarded? Yami's face darkened. Do I have it? Asta looked at Finral and said. Captain, it's cold. Calm down. This is the only combat genius in our regiment who has been recruited. Although it's a little skinny, if it's broken, it's gone. Finral hurriedly hugged Yami, for fear that if he let go, he would never see Asta again. Wait until you go back and let you experience what despair is. Yami roared, and then asked Finral to use space movement magic. Everyone walked into the magic circle one after another, and as soon as they turned around, they came to a remote castle. In fact, the castle is a bit flattering for this bizarre building. No matter how you look at it, it looks like a piece of house. How about it? It's quite stylish here. Yami speaks triumphantly. This harsh living environment has really made me realize what a tragic building is. Can I quit? Asta's teasing sermon. I'm really sorry for this shabby headquarters, you stinky boy. Yami finally got his wish and saw Asta's regret, but this reason is really annoying. Forget it, I wonder if there are any beautiful women in the group. If not, I will apply to leave the group immediately. Asta has opened the heart-piercing combo mode, in order to let Yami experience what it means to be a real hitman. I think you want to die. Yami's angry nostrils almost spewed out flames. What kind of team member did he accept? If it wasn't for his good temper, this warm-hearted member would turn into a corpse in minutes. But the crux of the question is, why does he still think this kid is interesting? Isn't this helpless? Seeing this, Finral immediately rushed out to be a peacemaker. There are some, but there is a top-quality little loli in our group, and she really speaks with a sweet scent, and there is a royal sister who wears a bikini all the time. That figure is bulging forward and backward. It really does. Asta's eyes lit up, and he was originally an arrogant Yami, but there is really a seductive existence in the group, so you have to take a good look. Asta couldn't wait to come to the door. Just as he was about to open the door, he suddenly noticed a hot breath coming towards him. What the hell? Asta instantly pulled out the sword of severing demons and slashed the gate in half with a single strike. A fireball that was flying behind the gate was also split by him. However, the fighting in the room did not stop because of his appearance. It's different. I saw a four-eyed boy dressed as a gangster and a blonde boy wearing lightning boots running around the hall in full swing. The fireball just now was obviously created by the gangster, and it seemed that it was not aimed at him. And Asta also noticed the two beauties Finral said at this time, a little girl who was sitting at the dining table desperately stuffing all kinds of sweets. She was really a loli at that age, and Finral didn't lie to him. The little girl spoke, it's definitely sweet. After all, with so many desserts, it's sweet even when Erha Wolf howls. However, that fleshy mass can't hook up with the soft and easy to push loli, but if you look closely, the face is quite delicate. As for the other royal sister wearing a bikini, her figure is indeed bulging forward and backward, but with her messy long chestnut hair and the smell of alcohol all over her body, is this definitely not a problem with an older mature woman but a royal sister. But if you look closely, her face is quite delicate. But the female team members are all good, and the male team members will only be more unbearable. For example, what kind of ghost is the one that looks like the King Kong in the temple and is pasted by the fireplace as a door god? And what kind of twisted heart is the vicissitudes of life who is drooling with a stack of pictures of little girls? This is really a fairy teammate in a skirt. Asta Rao is used to seeing weird things, and he can't help but complain at this moment. This team is really a hodgepodge of problem men and women. They're still fighting. Finral marveled at their dynamism. It's really been since they've been out, and the whole hall has been beaten up. I'm really annoyed when I see them destroying public property. Yami's face sank, a terrifying black breath spread out, and the muscles on his right hand were also knotted, as if waiting for a thunderous strike at any time. Captain, calm down, they just broke the doors and windows, you can knock down half the wall with one punch. Finral sensed that something was wrong, and quickly grabbed Yami's fist, because according to his experience, every time the head of the regiment told others not to destroy public property, he was often the one who did the most damage. Stop me all. Yami ignored the thin Finral next to his fist and punched the wall behind him with Finral whose scalp was numb. Boom. Finral combined with the wall and flew out. Should not hang up. Asta looked at the torn wall. Finral didn't know if he was dead or not, but the house was definitely uninhabitable. Captain. The captain is back. The members of the group who were arguing finally noticed Yami and the others, and then rushed over with great enthusiasm, as well behaved as a kitten, and they were completely different from the way they showed their teeth and claws just now. Captain, is there anyone on the scene who dares to disrespect you? If there is, I will send him to be an eunuch. The Four Eyes preached viciously. Captain, have a drink with me tonight. The bikini beauty opened her arms. At this time, her complexion was crimson, her chest was crimson, and her fair skin was even more attractive with the drink. Would you like to eat this snack? It's super delicious. The little black-haired Lolita gave Yami half of the snacks inseparably. Ha ha ha, everyone really likes me. But, I'm so annoying. Yami was still smiling 1 second, but the next second it turned black. This face-changing technique is a master of Peking opera and has reached its peak. Sorry. The team members who were still competing for favor immediately sat on the ground obediently, which made Asta speechless for a while. Are these his future immortal teammates? Now let's get down to business. I brought another newcomer back. Let me introduce yourself. Yami pointed at Asta with his finger. Haji Village, Asta, ability, eliminate magic. Asta felt that there was nothing to introduce, so he said the name of the village to his own. This is the end. The little loli looked at Asta cutely, and was expecting to say something else, but after saying these words, Asta returned to the same place. It's really a very short introduction, but it still said the most important things. The bikini beauty looked at Asta with interest, really a handsome little brother. Stinky boy, you will die if you say a few more words. The four-eyed boy said unhappily. I like this kind of introduction. Finral, please introduce the members. Yami swept the audience from the corner of his eye, but he didn't seem to see Finral. Where did Finral go? Captain, Finral was kicked out by you just now. Gordon spoke in a weak voice, thanks to Asta's ear, otherwise he wouldn't be able to hear him. Then let Magna come, remember to be brief. Yami looked at the four-eyed fool. Be sure to complete the mission of the leader. Then let's start with me. I am Magna Swing. For the rest, you only need to know that I am your senior. You must always be respectful. Magna first introduced himself, then pointed at the bikini beauty, and said with a look of disgust, this is Vanessa Enoteka, the rest you just need to know that she is a shameless female alcoholic. Dare you say that the old lady has no shame? You virgin rascal. Vanessa scoffed back, who are you talking about, who is a virgin? Magner seemed to have been poked in the spine, and he couldn't calm down in an instant. Seeing that the two of them were about to quarrel, Yami roared coldly, you didn't listen to me, did you? I'm sorry, Captain Yami. Magna glared at Vanessa after a second, and then went on to introduce. This little one is called Charmy Papitosan, you just need to know that she likes to eat, and the black eye next to the captain is called Gordon Agrippa. This is a man who even I don't know much about. You are the little one. Charmy swears to himself that he will never give Magna snacks again next time. Is my presence really so low? Gordon is a little sad, he seems to get along with everyone. It's time to introduce me, Magna. The blonde boy who wore thunder boots before said excitedly. Oh, this guy's name is Luck Voltia, and the rest you just need to know is okay to stay away from him, because he's a super annoying fighter. Magna rolled his eyes. Hey, let's fight with me, I like fighting so much. Luck couldn't wait to come to Asta's side, and punched his fist eagerly as he spoke. Well, this is a guy who looks like Gaara when it comes to fighting. Asta has confirmed Luck's character from Luck's twinkling eyes, and it seems that his upbringing has been equally difficult. Next is Ghosh Adlai, a selfish ghost who is controlled by a super sister. Friendly reminder, don't covet his sister, or you will be slaughtered. Magner pointed to the vicissitudes of life and preached. Holding a photo of his sister Mary, Ghosh approached Asta and said, How? She's my sister, she's an angel. If you dare to attack her, I'll kill you. Quote. Asta looked at the little girl in the photo speechlessly, so small, who can do it? By the way, there is also Gray who is like a door god. Well, that's all I know. When Magner was preaching here, Gray just stared at Asta blankly, looking unusually shy. Captain, Finral crawled in from outside the collapsed wall at this time. Fortunately, he used his space magic quickly, otherwise this handsome face would obviously not be able to be preserved. Oh, and this guy, Finral Rulacase, you just need to know that if there are beautiful young women in the house, don't let him see it. After introducing Finral solemnly, Magna looked at Yami in awe. Next, our most popular leader, Yami Sukahiro, you just need to respect the rest. The above is the introduction of all the members at the scene. Captain Yami, can I still introduce it? Magna looked at Yami earnestly. So. Yami breathed out a smoke ring and looked at Asta nonchalantly. We have a lot of members. In short, it's an unusually large order of magic knights. You don't have to be nervous, just get along with everyone casually. It's all this time, to be honest, I didn't laugh at you. Asta rolled his eyes. The few people are the few people, he doesn't mind anyway. All in all, Asta is very satisfied with this knight order. Although there are few people, everyone has a lifetime of problems, but because of this, no one will talk about who, instead life is more harmonious. Looks like you're ready for a horrific training session. The cigarette from Yami's angry mouth almost fell off. This leather monkey was really shot by God to be angry at him. He really could make him smoke out of anger by just saying a word. Are you going to start the training session? Magna jumped with excitement. Train well, just don't kill anyone. Yami preached threateningly, and then Magna, under Yami's authorization, walked towards Asta eagerly. Did you hear that? You weak chicken from Haji village, a guy born in a backcountry like you, don't have much magic power around you. I really don't know how you got Captain Yami to sneak in, but let me do it now. Let your hillbilly come to the fore. Magna cocked his mouth and made a hands-on opening remarks with his nostrils up. I have to say that his talent for being a gangster is still very strong, and it is natural to be a villain. Can I fight back? Don't worry, I will be measured. Asta asked weakly. If he could fight back, he could speed up the end of this time-wasting session. What? Fight back? Measure. Magna felt that his personality had been extremely humiliated. Come on, I'll hit you with gold stars and chrysanthemums breathing fire. Then I'm welcome. Asta laughed. Judging from the battle just now, Magna is a fire attribute magic power, and the attack method is the form of a fireball far-reaching attack. If this is the case, then this battle can end soon. The crowd then came to the open space outside the castle. Magna looked at Asta and sneered. You didn't need to be so embarrassed as soon as you came up, but now you have angered me, so I announce the final baptism directly. Now you use magic or taijutsu, no matter what means, as long as you block or evade my attacking magic, then you will truly become a member of the Black Bulls. What if I beat you? Asta asked coldly. Puff. Captain, is this newcomer serious? Where did this wonderful flower come from? Everyone couldn't help laughing. They originally wanted to see how Magna trained newcomers in an ingenious way, but they didn't expect that Magna's nostrils smoked first. I can't help it, kid, if you can't escape, you will die. In Magna's hand, the grimoire was automatic without wind, and the page quickly turned to a magic article, and then the red light burst out, and a blazing flame gathered in Magna's hand. It looks real. Fingal sighed and opened his grimoire, ready to rescue him at any time. Wait a moment. Asta narrowed his eyes and said that it was easy to defeat Magna, but it was obviously boring to fight like this, so he planned to maximize his profits. What, are you afraid? Now it's too late even if you kneel down and beg for mercy. Magna thought that Asta was cowardly, and smiled happily, feeling that he was still a little intimidating. You misunderstood. I wanted to ask what the newcomers in our group usually do. Asta asked with a smile. No matter where he goes from ancient times to the present, newcomers can't escape the law of serving the elderly, but he is an arrogant blue beast, and wanting him to serve people doesn't exist. Generally, it is cleaning, serving tea and water to the seniors, washing clothes, and raising pets of the head of the regiment. Magner thought hard about the sermon. Sure enough, it's the same as what I thought. I don't know if you dare to bet with me, just bet on winning or losing this battle. If I win, then you will take over the work of serving people. If I lose, how about giving you 3 months' salary? Asta narrowed his eyes. He had cast a tempting bait, not afraid that Magna would not take the bait. Are you serious? Magna raised an eyebrow. It was giving him money. Although the newcomer does not have much salary, it is enough to support him to carry out a great gambling career. As for the fact that he would lose, Magna really didn't even think about it. As a veteran Black Bulls member, would he lose? I just don't know if you dare. Asta's sermons. Head of the regiment, you all have seen it. He insisted on betting with me. It's not my fault. Magna pretended to be helpless and said, since you want to send money so much, then I will fulfill you. So can the game start? Asta smiled happily, because the distance between him and Magna was only 15 meters. For others, this distance was beyond the attack range, but for Asta, it was only a matter of time. So, it's going to be a very pleasant trip to the pit people. I always have a bad feeling about it. Finral watched as Magna spoke involuntarily. At this distance, Magna will most likely be beaten badly. Yami touched his chin, recalling what Asta made in the exam room, almost predicting Magna's future. Why are you not optimistic about virgins, head of the group? Vanessa burps. It's not that I'm not optimistic, but Magna is standing too close, and he is unprepared for Asta's attack method, so. Finral said with a wry smile, this is likely to turn into a baptism of rookies to abuse veterans. Is Magna standing very close? Vanessa looked at the distance between the two suspiciously. 15 meters is a very safe range for magic attacks. Is the newcomer really that strong? Luck is eager to try, and really wants to have a second baptism after the battle. Charmy will not let go of any meal time. Although she came out with everyone, she could only take a look at Asta, praying in her heart that this handsome boy would not be caught by Mag. Natas is too miserable. I originally wanted to give you a nirvana from the very beginning, but since you subsidized my 3-month salary, I decided to give you a chance to express yourself. Magner reached out and took out a fiery red baseball bat from the grimoire, and immediately put the previously congealed fireball into the air, then tensed up and made a motion to hit the baseball. I advise you to use nirvana at the beginning, otherwise you will lose in a while and regret that you didn't use your full strength. The chakra in Asta's body has been divided into 2 waves, one wave has gone to his legs, and the other wave has condensed on his right arm. At this time, he is ready to go like a tiger. I hope your strength is as powerful as your mouth. Magna's eyes became serious, and then he said word by word, fight start. Swish. At the beginning of the battle, Magna had already turned his body through the twist of his right foot, but just as he was about to strike Asta with a stormy blow, he was shocked to find that Asta was gone. What about people? Magna's eyes widened, and his heartbeat suddenly accelerated. At this moment, he felt his right shoulder sink, and then an épée appeared in front of him. You lose. Asta put away his sword flatly. He could sense that Magna's magic power was strong, but unfortunately he lacked the way to deal with powerful warriors, otherwise he would definitely have the power to fight, instead of being slaughtered by him like now. How is this possible? Magna looked at Asta in disbelief. At this moment, he had mixed feelings in his heart. He actually lost to the novice in the baptism. This is a ridiculous joke. He feels his cheeks are getting hot. He promised to train a newcomer, but he is actually trained by a newcomer. This is a shame. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.